the mistress he was waiting for. Some men don't dream of winning. They dream of losing, but only to the right woman. What is a mistress? She's not a woman in latex with a whip shouting, "On your knees." She's not a porn cliche, not a mask of cold authority, not a line from an erotic play. A true mistress is the woman you want to surrender to, not just submit. She doesn't demand. She doesn't beg. Yet you find yourself placing everything at her feet. Your body, your will, your control. A paradox? Not. Really, not every man wants to be strong, especially those who've had to be strong their entire lives. Men who run companies, who make decisions with six-figure consequences, who lead teams, wear invisible armor every day. And when they get home, they dream of someone who can take that power away, not because they're weak, but because they're tired, and to them, surrender isn't humiliation. It's the ultimate luxury. The mistress fetish, or female domination, is less about leather and chains and more about psychology. It's the art of control without chaos. Some crave the sting of discipline, others the sweetness of structure. It's that strange, intoxicating paradox where giving up power feels like the safest place. Hi, my name is Mia. I worked as a webcam model for 2 years, and believe me, I have a lot to share. During that time, I met hundreds of people. Their desires, their stories, their fears, they all became part of my nightly reality. Many of these stories might seem strange, shocking, maybe even disgusting to someone, but behind every fetish, there's a real person, and what turns them on doesn't make them a bad human being. Every time I started a stream, I thought, nothing can surprise me anymore. And yet, the surprises kept coming, and web modeling isn't just about showing your body. If you don't take off your clothes, you have to give something else. You're a therapist and a listener. You have to keep a conversation going. From politics to fetishes, be an actress, a seductress, a friend, a muse, and most of all, be real. Even when you're wearing a mask. What did I learn over these 2 years? People are different. So are their desires, and that's okay. Don't judge anymore, because no one ever knows the full story. This is one of them. He called himself your friend. Polite, precise, effortlessly charming, the kind of man who can make you feel safe before revealing the fire underneath and in the studio. His name was legend. Models whispered about the years he'd spent serving one mistress. The expensive gifts, the handwritten letters, the way he'd log in at the same hour every week like clockwork. When he entered my room for the first time, I didn't see desperation. I saw certainty, purpose, the quiet kind of power that comes from knowing exactly what you need and daring someone to give it to you. He never typed, "Dominate me." He didn't need to, because his presence alone was an invitation and a challenge. I thought I understood men like him, but he was so wrong. The game begins before I ever spoke to him. I'd already heard his name. One evening, my boss leaned against the studio door frame, sipping her coffee, and she nodded toward the member list on my screen and said, "If you ever see your friend enter your room, pay attention." I raised an eyebrow. Why? Another big spender? She smirked. Not exactly. He's different. Years with the same mistress, never late to a session, and always on his own terms. He doesn't come for the show. He comes for the woman. That stuck with me because in our world, loyalty like that is rare. The second time he visited my room, there was no polite warm-up and no small talk about books or wine, just a single message. I want you to take it from me. I played along. Take what? Everything. I leaned back in my chair, smiling at the screen. Men make bold requests all the time, but this one felt different. Your friend didn't type with desperation. His words had weight. Every pause between his sentences felt intentional, like moves in a chess game. You don't know what you're asking for, I teased. I think I do, and I think you want it too. That's the thing about the mistress fetish. Real dominance isn't about yelling commands or swinging a whip, but it's about pulling the strings so subtly your partner thinks they're still in control, right until they're not. And he wanted that moment so badly, he began testing me, disappearing mid-conversation, returning hours later, sending cryptic lines, as if daring me to read his mind. I realized he wasn't looking for a script. He was looking for me, my reactions, my choices, my way of holding the reins without warning. In this game, the tension was the real currency, and I was starting to see just how far he was willing to play. He didn't just appear in my room one day with a number in mind. That kind of offer doesn't come out of nowhere, but it's earned slowly in hours of conversation, in moments where you forget there's a screen between you. I never treated him like a walking wallet. I asked about his day, his work, his stupid coffee habit, and he told me about his life, really told me. That's rarer than you think. We found we had a lot in common, both lovers of old American blues and whiskey in plain, smooth glasses served with a single large cube of ice. I had never seen his face, but it felt like we were getting closer. He spoke about her as former mistress with a kind of softness that doesn't belong in this world. She changed me, he said once. She gave me rules when I was falling apart. She made me better. There was love in his voice, even if he didn't call it that. He told me about the assignments she used to give him, small tests of obedience that wrapped around his day like invisible strings, and once she made him wear her chosen women's panties under his business suit for an entire day of meetings, just to remind him she owned him even in public. Another time, she sent him out during a high-stakes conference call, telling him to remove his socks and shoes outside, take a photo of his bare feet on the cold pavement, and send it to her before returning dot if he completed a task. He was rewarded a rare word of approval, sometimes a permission, if he failed. The punishment was silence, so when he said, "I'll give you 10,000 to be my mistress," it wasn't less talking, but it was the voice of a man who'd already lived in that dynamic, who knew exactly what it gave him. And maybe in me, he saw a chance to have it again. But here's the thing, I'm not like her. I don't get off on control. I'm a submissive at heart, which is why I understood him so well. I knew his hunger for structure, the way surrender can feel like freedom. I also knew I couldn't fake it, not even for that kind of money, and it would have been so easy to slip into the role, to become what he wanted and take the cash, but the truth? I liked him too much for that. I wasn't going to play mistress to a man I respected as a human being. He didn't argue. He just sat there, quiet, and for a moment I thought maybe I'd ruined something, but then he smiled small, knowing, and in that silence I realized he'd chosen me for the same reason I couldn't take the deal, because in a world full of masks, we'd shown each other our faces. When I finally pieced it together, my pulse spiked. The mistress he'd spoken about for months, the woman he once trusted enough to reveal his face to, wasn't just anyone, it was Diana, my boss. My mentor, the same Diana who'd guided me through my first months on the site, who'd taught me the balance between allure and boundaries, and she'd never breathed a word about him. For almost a year, she had been his everything, his anchor, his safe space. He had shown her the man behind the mask, broken his own rule of anonymity. He'd wanted to bring their connection into the real world, and she walked away, not with cruelty, but with silence. She vanished from his life, took an admin position, and left behind the persona that had tied them together. For him, it was abandonment. For her, maybe survival. I understood more than I wanted to admit. Here, in this world, feelings are dangerous. For a member, you are the one, but for a model, there can be dozens of the ones, and the weight of wearing so many faces can crack something inside you. Diana must have known she couldn't keep both him and herself intact. Still, the bond he formed with me wasn't born from the ashes of their affair. It was something different. One night, he told me about a fantasy he had never shared with anyone, not even with her. It wasn't about pain or humiliation. He imagined coming home from a business trip, dropping his briefcase by the door, and finding me sitting on his desk. Not to seduce, but to command. A list of small tasks already waiting for him, each one personal, each one a quiet reminder that, for the next few hours, his world belonged to someone else. No chaos, no cruelty. I knew what that meant. For him, it wasn't about rules or commands. It was about trust, about putting his will in my hands. But honesty was the only thing I could offer him. This fetish isn't just about power. It's about vulnerability. The terrifying act of handing over your will and believing it will be held with care. For some, that surrender is the ultimate form of love. So I wonder, could you do it? Could you trust someone not with your body, but with control over your very will?